I recently applied to grad school and got accepted to go for a PhD in biomedical sciences, and I was really able to learn from my biology research advisor's experience when he was applying to grad school. So he gave me a lot of his stories and how he chose the school he wanted to go to and all the hardships that he endured.
And if I could just add something on that, I know Emily said professors are more than just teachers, they're mentors, and that's really true, especially in my department. I feel like we're a family. I'm kind of in my professor's offices a lot, even after I switched to commuter status. I spend a lot of time there, and they've actually helped me a lot with jobs. So last year I was hooked up with a substituting job as a junior because of one of my professors, as well as I just got a full-time job as a teacher starting in the fall, and immediately after calling my parents when I got the job, I called my professors, and literally I had Dr. Purdy in tears. She was like, I feel like my kids are all getting jobs. So they genuinely care about you and kind of the progress you're making, and they want to see you succeed outside of school. So it's a really, really neat relationship to have with our faculty and staff.
Here we are. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So that's awesome. And specifically wanted to give a huge congrats to Emily on getting into a PhD program and Mackenzie for already having a job. This is like phenomenal. I don't know how you guys, like, I'm so excited. We picked great people on this panel, apparently. So we do have some questions from the audience, and I want to make sure we get to those. So the first one I'm going to ask specifically for Asher. Mm-hmm. One of our students is wondering if you can talk about how honors classes are different from regular classes, and if you find it harder to balance with like your clubs, your activities, sports, etc.
So what I found helpful about the honors classes is a lot of them help you with your liberal arts curriculum courses. So my honors classes were also art classes, were also social science classes. So it was just a matter of taking honors classes rather than a history course or an art course. The level of it, all of the honors classes are kind of based around discussions. So it's more so discussions led by the students rather than the professor than assignments or tests. I found the honors classes a lot more fun. I've taken a beer, bread, wine, and cheese course where I learned how to make all of those things. I took a medieval art course, which was talking about myths and legends. So I found the honors course is really fun and exciting, as well as helped me, as a student, be able to lead discussions and really formulate questions. And then you talked about how I manage it. It's just a matter of making sure that I follow all the courses that I need to graduate, as I just write it down. And then I really just manage my time with a calendar. I like to color code things with my classes and manage that way to help balance things out.
Awesome, thank you. We did get a couple questions about the honors program and double majoring and things like that. So I feel like honors program, I feel like we've got. Sierra, I think you're a double major, correct?
Yeah.
Can you just talk about your experience in double majoring and again, how that impacts your time outside the classroom?
Yeah, so especially with my majors, there's a bit of overlap with some of the classes, which it doesn't seem like there would be. But you can kind of talk to your different advisors because you'd have an academic advisor for both your majors, and you could talk to them and they could help you figure out these classes that would count for both, or figure out classes that could help you and be useful in both. So I take a lot of classes where I can use knowledge from my media studies class in one of my business classes, even though it doesn't seem right off the bat like there would be that connection, but you can always find one, and those academic advisors definitely help you realize where those connections are. And then it's very similar to like any other time management, like Asher was just talking about, with color coordinating and just making sure you stay on a schedule. You kind of have to do that so you can still participate in activities that you want to, and then just also be as transparent as possible. So if you're ever struggling with anything, if you're ever confused about anything, make sure you talk to people who are in charge, talk to your professors, your academic advisors, talk to the people who are running the clubs or organizations that you're interested in, just so everyone has like this transparent view of like what's going on in your life, just to make sure that you can get the proper help that you need so you can be involved in as much as you want.
Awesome, thank you. And just for our participants to note, some of you are asking, well, you're all asking really good questions, and a lot of them are repeat questions. And so sometimes you're going to see the name Anna Rivera, and she's going to answer your questions without us having to ask the panelists. So there have been questions about majors and declaration of major and things like that. So just check in there to see if some of those answers come up. So panelists, I'm going to go to our next scheduled question. And I don't think we need to do everyone on this one. So let's just have Sophia and Sierra answer, because I know you guys have pretty good answers for this one. Can you tell us where you found your community at Cedar Crest?
Yeah, definitely. I found my community at Cedar Crest in actually a few different places. It's not just one community, it's kind of a few for me. So definitely athletics. It sounds kind of corny, but we are just, the team is one big happy family. So you kind of know that everybody has your back, and that's just a really good way to enter the school with a group of people like that you know. Also, my major is a big area where I have a community. Most likely you're going to be with the same people for multiple classes each day for the first 2 years. So a lot of my friends are science majors, and we study, hang out together, and I would definitely recommend reaching out in your classes and meeting people that way, because they're going to be a great support system for you if you need any help in any of your classes or anything like that. And my final community that I have would be having jobs on campus. This community is more diverse than the other communities that I found, just because I met people that I would probably otherwise never have met. So I was a little nervous applying for jobs because I didn't know anybody else in that area. So it was definitely a good choice though, because I definitely met a lot of new people. You get to meet people from art majors, science majors, English majors, and it's just really great to have friends from all different parts of campus.
Yeah, so I have a very similar experience. My first community was really the STEP team, because that's one of the big reasons I ended up coming to Cedar Crest. I was so excited to do STEP, and like the whole team was just like super welcoming, and we all like got really close really quickly. And then some of the other clubs I ended up joining, like our Society for Human Resource and Management, which is our business club on campus, I ended up like getting very close to the people who are already in that club as well. And then again, with academic spaces, both of my majors are pretty small, so you end up having classes with everyone in that major really quickly, and meetings with everyone, so you get to really know everyone in that major. So I was able to meet people who are business majors who weren't first years or sophomores like me at that time. So you kind of get to meet new people that you typically wouldn't be able to get if it was like a bigger class and everything. And then for offices, like jobs on campus, being a first year experienced mentor, for example, I get to work with people who are seniors, like they're about to graduate, and people who are juniors, and you get to like meet other people who are outside of your major, not in the same clubs, and just like kind of lead a whole different life than you do, but you still get to meet them because you have something in common, and that's like one of the best parts.
Awesome, thank you. So we have gotten a couple questions about time management, which I know obviously is a huge transition from high school to college, right? You're going from someone kind of scheduling out your day for you to someone who might have chunks of time in between, or sports at different times. And so I'm gonna do Mackenzie, because I think you can talk with the athletics aspect of this.
Sure,
and
yeah.
then maybe after Mackenzie we'll have Sophia, because you're just involved in so many things. So if you could just talk about time management and like class to class, and you know what you do in between, things like that.
Okay, so I think being in athletics is a huge help in terms of time management, because we do, as freshmen, have mandatory study hall hours. So that's just times you're required to set aside to work on schoolwork. And Cedar Crest always says you're a student first and then an athlete. So they definitely put your academics first over athletics. If there's a game, you obviously get to go to your game. But in terms of practice versus classes, you're expected to be in class. And also, I've had a few jobs on campus as well. And as far as scheduling things, you get to choose your own class schedule for the most part. So you'll know when you have openings in your day. And luckily, unlike high school, your classes aren't every single day from 8 to whatever. So you do have chunks of time in between where you can do your work in between two classes, so you can go to practice at the end of the day and not really have anything to do in the evening. But it's just kind of finding a flow that works best for you. Some people like to kind of sleep in so they don't have classes in the morning and get things done at night. And there's the option to do it the other way around as well.
I definitely agree with what Mackenzie said. A lot of it is just planning out your schedule and finding what works best for you. I think that it's super helpful to have some sort of calendar. I personally have a dry erase one because my schedule is constantly changing, so it's super easy just to stuff and put up what you need to do. I also really like to organize my assignments in what's due first. That way I can get that done out of the way and then focus what I need to do throughout the week. So basically just taking it one assignment at a time, one day at a time, just really helps you like keep yourself focused and on track for everything that you need to get done. With practices as well, your coaches are super understanding. If you need to go to an extra meeting for class, you're not going to get penalized for that at all. So basically it is your student first and athlete second. They will understand. So everyone is really understanding. So it's not as, it's definitely difficult, but you get a hang of it once you get thrown into it. So.
Awesome. Thank you. So panelists, can you talk to me about the different leadership opportunities that you've had at Cedar Crest that are outside of the classroom?
Yep. I kind of mentioned in my introduction that I would talk about this a little bit because I do a lot of different things outside the classroom. I just made a club on campus this past fall, a sign language club, which is very easy to make. If there's something on campus that you don't see that you enjoy, you can always make it. So I became the president of that sign language club this year. I also work in the admissions office, and I work with Andrea in the first and second year experience as a first year mentor. So I might see some of you if you guys come to Cedar Crest at orientation in August. And then I work as a tutor. So that is in the academics, but I work in the library and I work in the biology department as a tutor for anatomy and physiology. So it's really great to be able to have all those aspects and all those ways to get to know people from different majors, kind of something that Sophia talked about, and really get to work with first years as well as sophomores and a lot of different other people.
Asher, you just got someone's ready to join your club right now.
Oh,
so,
awesome.
Good plug.
Yes.
I can also talk on some leadership experiences as well. I'm a part of a few different honor societies on campus, and right now I'm the president of our Education Honor Society. I work in the education department as well as admissions, and I was an RA. So I did a lot of kind of things everywhere on campus, but all outside of the classroom, and that's helped my professors also see me in a different light, so working events with them on the weekends, which kind of got me to get the jobs that I've had. So a local school was reaching out to our professors and said, do you have any teachers that could substitute for us? And because I've spent so much time with my professors, either working in the department or working events on the weekends, they knew that I could handle myself in a situation like that. So that put me in a really good place for substituting, which then also lined up perfectly for when I'm applying for jobs. So taking advantage of all those leadership opportunities can really help you once you're a senior and you're looking forward to the rest of your adult life.
Awesome. And so my next question for you all, and I want to make sure that we get both the resident and the commuter experience, is what is like campus like for you? So Emily, can you tell us what campus is like for you as a commuter?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it. As a commuter coming in your first year, you see that all your resident friends have already formed friendships because they have been in, their resident halls for 4 days, even during its orientation days. And so it definitely is hard. However, there is a commuter awareness board that we have on campus that helps commuter students. And I have a lot of resident friends. So I was kind of in my shell at first because I felt left out because I did not live on campus. My friends would literally drag me to events and tell me, come to events, join us. So the thing about Cedar Crest being a family is that people do not let you go into your own shell. If they notice that you're not, joining the fun, they're going to basically make you. And so once I found my friends who took me to many different events, and I even got to join resident events. So the resident halls have a lot of resident events, but they're not resident only. There is no such event where, you can only join if you live on campus. So I've been able to go into resident halls and join many of the events. So after, having friends that have been there for me to help me come out of my shell, I don't see myself being less involved than a resident.
Awesome. Okay, and then Sophia, do you want to talk to us about your experience? Because I think yours is even elevated because of the RA role.
Yeah, sure. I honestly didn't really realize how much I loved being on campus until coming here the first summer and being like, oh my God, I want to go back, especially now because I do miss living with all my friends at school. It's a lot of fun being able to just walk down the hall and knock on someone's door and say, hey, like, let's study for this exam, or let's just hang out, or you have a rough day and you just need to talk to somebody. It's really convenient having everybody living in the same area like that. You're going to have people on campus that care and want to listen to you and stuff. So being at college can be overwhelming at times. So it's really nice to be able to come back to a positive and supportive community like that, especially if you have a roommate, multiple roommates, or just people who live down the hall. Going back off of what Emily said, being an RA is like a lot of fun too on campus. So you get to see a whole new side of res life. So each RA does make a program every month in your dorm. And they're a lot of fun. And like she said, it's not only for people who live in that dorm or on that floor, it's open to the entire Cedar Crest community. So anybody can come in and join. We have movie nights, holiday parties, a lot of DIY craft stuff, a lot of food and games. So it's a lot of fun to be there.
Awesome. And then, sorry to exclude you on this one, Emily, because this is specific to resident students, but we've had a couple of questions about like, what do you need if you're going to live on campus? So does anyone have like a thing? I know I've been out of college for a while, but my thing, I think if you live on campus, is that you need good rain gear. So like rain boots and an umbrella and stuff like that, because to get food, to get to classes, to get to everything, you're always going outside. So that's my 2 cents on what you need. But does anyone else have an idea of what kind of things would be essential for living on campus?
I've always, every year, I've had a snack drawer in my residence hall. So whenever I am snacky or I can't get to the dining hall or it's too late or it's too early, I always have snacks that I can just snack on while I'm home doing homework. And I found that just boosts my mood, and it's just something that I found essential every year that I've been here.
Anyone else?
I guess like something I find really important is a nice mattress topper, because your bed is a big part of your room, and if your bed's not comfy, like, are you really comfy in your room? So you need the nice soft mattress topper, because you're gonna hang out there a lot and your friends are also gonna come over a lot, and you just want to make it so that like once they're there they don't want to leave and you can all hang out forever. So keep it nice and cozy.
Hey, Mackenzie, just since you said that, we have had a couple questions about like having people visit, and also like if you just want to spend the night in the room down the hall from you. Can you just talk about like what the resident policies are, and if Sophia wants to do it, that's fine too. But
yeah, sure. I could talk a little bit, and Sophia, if you think of anything, if you want to add. You can sleep over in your friend's room as much as you want. If you're a student at Cedar Crest, whether you're a commuter or a resident, you're welcome to spend the night however many times you want. As for guests that aren't students at Cedar Crest, you'll have to register them through Campus Police, but anyone over the age of 12 can stay. I think it's up to 2 consecutive nights in a row. Sophia, if you want to talk more on that. I don't really remember.
Oh yeah, I think you hit all of the important aspects of that. It is 2 consecutive nights, and basically if you want somebody to come over every weekend, you can do that. It just has to be, I think it's, just 2 consecutive nights, and then you can have them over each month if you want to.
awesome. And so panelists, what would you say is the best part of Cedar Crest for you?
For me, I think it's the atmosphere. It could be the environment because we're an arboretum, so just going around campus and finding the prettiest spot to sit is very nice. But the atmosphere and the attitudes towards academics, I think, is really important to me, and I think is the best part because they help and they encourage you to do more. They encourage you to do something that you are questioning. If you're questioning a minor, they really encourage you to do that, and they help you along the way. They don't just tell you to do something and just leave you behind. So really that follow your dream games aspect is something that Cedar Crest does really well, and I think that's one of the best parts about it.
I definitely agree with Asher, and the part where they want you to do more is so true, especially for me. So I started out as a psychology major at Cedar Crest, and I found myself going towards the sciences when it came to interest, and so I decided to try out sciences. I was a whole year late, but my advisors have been working with me very closely to help me graduate on time. And at one point, I even considered having a second major because at Cedar Crest, we just want to do it all. That's kind of the Cedar Crest thing. And so my professor, especially my math advisor, he has never said no. He has always said, okay, let's see what we can do. Let's see how we can help you fit these classes into your schedule. And so the faculty here, everybody wants you to succeed. And so you will very rarely ever hear a no. And this is why I have been able to, succeed and get to where I am. I have been able to teach first year students on campus, and I never saw myself teaching, but my advisor was like, you are doing great work in the lab, and I think that it's important for first year students to see that. And so I've been pushed outside my comfort zone to achieve more than I ever thought I could, and that is definitely my favorite part of Cedar Crest.
And I'm just going to jump in here, Emily, because a lot of the questions that have come up in the chat are about like if it's possible to double major in, X and X. And what I would say, and what I think Emily just highlighted for you all, is that at Cedar Crest, we're willing to work with you to make anything you want happen. Nobody really can tell you, if you'll be able to handle the work or anything like that, because that's really personal. But I can tell you that we will support you if that's something you want to do. So, we have plenty of students that major into quote unquote really hard majors, and then we have other students who major in things that are completely different, so like the hard sciences and dance, and that's stuff that you don't hear at a lot of other colleges, but really that is something that we really pride ourselves on, is the ability to like help students make their experience exactly as they want it. So I had to jump in and say that. Sophia, do you want to talk about your best part?
Yeah, definitely. I honestly have a lot of the same things that Emily said as well. But the best part of Cedar Crest for me was the people. I definitely know that I met friends here that are going to be lifelong friends. I know I mentioned this before, but softball is my second family here. The faculty and staff, going off of Emily, are really supportive. They really do push you to be the best that you can be. And they do prove it that they're behind you in every step. Like if you aren't in class, they email you like in the next hour and they're like, hey, are you sick? Like, are you okay? Do you feel okay? Like, can I help you with something? Basically, they ask you if you want to schedule a meeting and go over things that you missed, or they can send you the notes if you need help. Everybody here really does care, and they do like being here and doing what they're doing. Everybody makes you feel like you belong here because you do. And it's a really good feeling to be a part of a community like this.
Yeah, I would agree. I think my best part is also the people here and the support they give, especially now. Obviously, this is unlike anything we've been through before, and being a senior, it can be kind of tough, but I've heard from each of my professors every week. Sometimes we just talk, like we'll call each other on the phone and just catch up. But I've also heard from different people at school that, if you don't log in online to Canvas, they check in on you. They say, I know the transition can be hard. Like if there's any assistance you need or anything, just reach out. So they definitely care about your success, whether you're at school or you're at home right now for who knows how long. But they're there for you regardless. So that's what I appreciate most, for sure.
Yeah, I agree with everyone saying like the people, but also I really like the diversity at Cedar Crest. So we do have a good amount of like international students and things like that. So the international students have quickly, like some of them are like some of my closest friends on campus. And it's just really cool because you can like learn different languages and it not be like a part of your coursework. It's just like you hanging out with your friends. You get to learn about like different cultures and customs, and like that's something that I've always loved, being from a big city. There's a lot of diversity, so that's something that's always like been close to me, and like having a college with like the same values like that, that's probably like my best part of Cedar Crest.
Awesome, thank you. Emily, we've had a lot of questions about transportation. So just, I know everyone would be from a different area, but in terms of commuting, what is the actual transportation piece of it like for you?
So for me, I've always been lucky enough to live pretty close to campus. So I've moved quite a few times, but being close to campus definitely helps. However, I can speak to this. So a lot of my friends, especially for the first 2 years, they did not have a vehicle themselves. So I have actually offered to take, my friends to the pharmacy. I've taken friends grocery shopping, to doctor's appointments, and I know a lot of other students who do have vehicles that helps students. The thing about Cedar Crest being a family is that you may not have a car, but somebody is going to be willing to take you somewhere. So, yeah.
And how about parking?
So parking at Cedar Crest is free all 4 years, which is actually really, really, really nice, especially if you are a commuter. You need to park on campus. And there are parking spaces in front of every building. I tell people that I'm spoiled because I can drive from building to building. So I will drive from the Science Center to like Curtis, which would be a 10-minute walk. And I'm so spoiled because of all the parking spaces available. I just drive everywhere. And so that's also one of, I guess, my favorite parts of campus is that I can drive because for some reason, I don't like walking. So yeah, that's pretty cool too.
All right, and then thanks, Emily. Panelists, you see how you have that little reaction button on your screen. So this is only for our 5 panelists. Give me a thumbs up if you have a car on campus.
Hold on, how do we do this again?
Reactions down at the bottom. It's a little smiley face. Okay, so Sophia has a car. Emily has a car. Mackenzie and Asher. And cars on campus, how was that process? Asher, is it free? What do you have to do that? Things like that.
It's free. All you have to do is go to Campus Police and fill out a form, like your make, model, color, that stuff. Show your license and registration. Very easy process to go and get that registered. Awesome. I've also changed cars on campus because I don't own a car. I use my family's car. So it's easy to like just get a new sticker for a different car. No penalty for that either. So.
Thank you. And Sierra, you don't have a car on campus. Are you still able to get around?
Yeah. So like Emily was just saying, like people are always willing to drive other people places. And on top of that, like also people don't really love going to like the store by themselves or something. So like they'll tend to text their friends like, hey, I'm going to Target, or hey, I'm going to Walmart. If you want to come, please say yes. So there's always like a way to get around on campus.
Perfect. All right. So to our accepted students that are in here, those are all of the like canned questions that we had. But I can continue to ask questions all day. We've got about 15 or 20 minutes left. I would definitely rather answer your questions if there are any that we haven't covered yet. The other thing I would encourage you to remember is that you are typing in questions. So there's nothing to be embarrassed about because nobody really knows who is typing the question. And the other thing is we don't have parents in this room. We don't have professors in this room. So I'm surprised because typically I get questions about social life or how do you meet people, things like that. So if you have any questions, we would love to hear them. While I'm waiting for you to decide if you want to ask those things, I'm going to ask the panelists if they could talk about their sophomore expedition experience, because we have had a couple of those questions pop up.
So I went to Greece last year. It was an incredible experience. I have been out of the country before. I've been on a plane before, but I know a few people who haven't. But that experience was eye-opening to me. The sophomore expedition really fostered a love for travel in me that I went to Panama this past January with the School of Nursing, and I'm trying to go elsewhere. So it's a great way to go out of the country, learn a little bit, but also explore the country in and of itself. And Greece is just beautiful. I want to go back. So,
Asher, was it actually really free?
Yeah. All you had to do was get your passport.
Awesome. Thank you. So I don't want to do someone who went to Greece. Mackenzie, you went to Rio?
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I got to go on the first sophomore expedition to Rio de Janeiro in Brazil, and that was really neat because we got to do a lot of different service pertaining to our major, so I spent some time in schools there, and it actually inspired me to get the English as a second language certificate, so I came back to Cedar Crest and did that. Just a side note, because I did see a question about it, that certificate is graduate level, so someone asked if they could do grad courses with undergrad. You just have to be accepted into that program by professors. So when I came back, I applied and then my professors accepted me into it. So I actually completed my grad certificate before my undergrad, but it's possible and I wouldn't have thought to do it without the trip. So it was really neat in that way.
Okay, I'm seeing some of these questions, so I'm just going to pop in. So Danielle, yes, there are summer courses available to first-year students. That's something you can talk to your advisor about. A couple of you have asked about getting your schedule or adding things to your, like adding a major, adding a minor. SOAR is summer orientation and registration. That is through my office. That is in June. So you will start to get a lot more information on that once you deposit. And then that's when you will get your schedule. You will meet your advisor. You'll meet your upper class student mentor. You can add things, change things. So a lot of those questions that you're asking about will be answered for you during SOAR. I'm trying to just scroll through here. I was just there, but who went to London with you? With me, Sierra. Okay, can you talk to us about London?
London was fabulous, and I did not want to leave, but I did see a question about like when it is. It's over spring break, so you're not actually going to miss any classes. So I saw someone was concerned about that, but yeah, so you won't miss classes, but your spring break will be in another country, and you get to do like a lot of things that you typically wouldn't be able to if you were just traveling by yourself. So my group, we actually got to meet a rapper from London, which was really awesome, and we got to work with younger kids, teaching them what rap is and like how to rhyme and stuff, and how like they could use that for mental health reasons. And it's just like there's still a community service component to that trip, and so it's like a great time. You also get free time. You also get to do stuff that you want to do. And then you have like the scheduled stuff that you don't have to pay for and you wouldn't have probably been able to do otherwise because some of it is pretty expensive. So it's really fun.
Something I want to add about that is all the courses that you're taking in your sophomore expedition isn't based on your major. So I took one in nursing, and Mackenzie said she took one with education, I think. But you don't have to take one in your major. If you're interested in sports, there's sports options. I know Dr. Skapansky took one for sports. And there's lots of different options that you could take. It's just based on the title of the course. So don't feel like you have to go in the box of your major.
Another question that I see popping up, people are concerned about SOAR and if they can't come. So a couple things to think about here. One, every year we have plenty of students who can't come because they have prom and graduation. We understand that June is a really tough time. So we have lots of plans in place for those students. We make sure to send them all the information, so you will get your schedule mailed to you. You will get information that way. You can also sign up for individual meetings with folks if you want to. The other thing that we obviously, in 2020 have to be conscious of is the fact that we might not be able to do an in-person SOAR. So that decision hasn't been made yet, but you will get lots of information. And if SOAR does happen virtually, it's going to look similar to Accepted Students Day. We're going to do everything. You'll still get to meet with your advisor. You'll have a one-on-one session with them. You'll get to meet your mentor. So the reality is, even if you can't personally be at SOAR, or we decide for everyone's health and safety not to make SOAR on campus, you will still get all the information. So don't worry about that. I know we're getting a lot of questions about IB classes and AP courses and things like that. That's all stuff that's going to happen for you during SOAR, so don't worry about any of that. I'm seeing questions. Spring break. Yes, spring break is a full week. Sophia, you're a spring athlete.
Yeah.
How did that go? Missing part of your season to go to London?
Honestly, I do think that it was still a good choice to go to London, even though I was a spring athlete, just because besides this year, but I have 3 other years to go to Myrtle Beach with the softball team. I can do that for 3 other years, but there's not another opportunity for me to go to London for free and do all of the academic things that we could have done there. So I feel like that was definitely an important decision to make, because that really helped me jump out of my comfort zone more and shaped me more than going on another trip with my softball team.
Cool. All right, panelists, we're going to do reactions again. So get your screen ready. Put a thumbs up if you were worried about making friends before you came to Cedar Crest. Yeah. So 100%. We were all concerned about making friends. We have a lot of students writing in about how do you make friends and things like that. Now give me a clap if you were able to make friends and your fears have been alleviated. Good job. So we know that making friends is a huge, huge transition, and it's usually our most asked about thing. So people have questions on here about if it's better to choose a roommate or to have one randomly assigned to you. So like Sierra, I know her roommate is someone she went to high school with. And then I know that some of you have had assigned roommates. We won't have time for everyone to answer, but maybe if a couple of you could just help try to calm these fears a little bit because they're so common. As you can see, everyone's felt this.
Yeah, sure, I can talk about that. So I didn't actually room with somebody that I met before coming into school, but it also wasn't random. So I literally sat down to eat with somebody at SOAR for 20 minutes and found out that she was in the same major as me. And all we said was, do you have a roommate? No. Do I have a roommate? No. Let's room together. And it just kind of happened. I know that that's a little iffy, just kind of trying to jump into it, but honestly, it just kind of worked out. Especially, I was really excited to have somebody in my major. We had all the same classes together for the first semester. So we would literally come back and do the same homework at the same time together. And it was just super easy to be on the same page. It's like a built-in study partner for you. So if you have the option to room with someone in the same major, I would highly recommend that.
Did anyone have a roommate assigned to them? No. All right. Well, I know plenty of people that do, and it tends to work out just fine. So if you haven't found someone that you think needs to be a roommate, I would say don't worry about that. The other thing I try to remind people is that, you might meet someone at SOAR, you might meet someone on Instagram, but things change, people change. We're not always who we say we are online. So it really is not a big deal if you get assigned a roommate. We're having questions about, let's throw this to Sophia. Are there curfews or rules about like parties on campus?
So basically, if you're over 21 on campus, you are allowed to drink in your dorms, but you can't have people underage in your rooms. So basically, if you want to hold a little gathering, if you're over 21 in your room to drink with like 6 or 7 people, that's totally allowed. As with curfew, there's no time that you have to be in bed with lights off, but there is quiet hours. So usually we like to keep that as 11 p.m. to 8 a.m. in the morning, just to be respectful for students that do have to get up really early and need to study and need a good night's sleep. But other than that, that's usually the rules.
Thanks. And if you weren't 21 and you had a desire to find a party or something like that, it doesn't have to be Sophia, but are you able to find that kind of social life either at Cedar Crest or in the community?
I can speak towards that. So for me, I'm not a big party person, but I do enjoy nightlife quite a lot because I'm a night owl. And so in Allentown, there are quite a few clubs or bars that have college nights. So on college nights, most of the time, it's free to get in. So I know Stonewall. Stonewall is one of the clubs that I've been to a few times. So they have a lot of drag shows and a lot of very cool stuff. And there's dancing and all that. And it's free to get in on Thursdays. So you just have to show your student ID. And you get to actually meet students from other surrounding colleges. So we always have this little competition to see if there's more Muhlenberg students there or Cedar Crest students there. So Muhlenberg's our neighboring co-ed college. And so it's always so fun to just meet other people while still being able to, be safe and all.
Yeah, so that's a question we get a lot. We are a just typical college campus. Obviously there's some differences in that it's all women and things like that. But our students don't lack a social life. They don't lack the ability to go meet people if they want to. The way we kind of frame it is this idea that our students want to find a good time, they want to have a good time, but they don't want that to interfere with their day-to-day life. So they tend to go somewhere else to find that. A lot of times, as Emily stated, it's Muhlenberg or Lehigh or one of the other colleges, or some of the local bars and clubs, because then they can have the experience that they want, but that doesn't necessarily need to interfere with their studying and things like that. Like they can kind of turn it off. A couple of questions here about Greek life. No, we do not have Greek life on campus. And then we probably have time for one or two more questions. Can someone talk about guaranteed student employment?
I can talk about that. Guaranteed student employment is open for any student, and just as it is, it's guaranteed student employment. So you can come in your freshman year and get a job on campus. I worked in the performing arts department my freshman year, and I'm a nursing major, so it was nothing related to my major, but I did that in high school, so I really enjoyed it. And it was practically my first job I ever had out, I just didn't have a job in high school. So coming here to college and being guaranteed student employment, being guaranteed to put something on my resume, and finally get paid for something I did in high school was really a great way for me to know the professors in performing arts, but also just really enjoy it and get paid for it.
Yeah, so, just to reiterate what Asher said, we guarantee student employment. There are no catches there. Any student who's a student at Cedar Crest has the ability to get a job on campus. You apply to the jobs that you want. So it's not just assigned to you. Obviously, if a job doesn't have any openings, you can't apply to that job. But you are able to choose from the available jobs to see what you want. All right, panelists, do you have any last things that you wanted to say? Any questions you feel like didn't get answered? Because I want to make sure people have time to get into their next session. So we're going to end in about 2 or 3 minutes.
I think we're good.
All right, so first-year students or potential first-year students, I am so glad that you all joined us today. We hopefully were able to answer as many of your questions as possible. As a reminder, you can always email anyone on the admissions team, admissions@cedarcrest.edu, to get more of your questions answered. Next up on your schedule, you all have Michael Miller. And so I will tell you, he's super fun. It is a fun session. It's not going to be boring at all. You'll have the opportunity to participate in this really engaging and interactive leadership workshop. And Michael Miller is a national presenter that we pay to come talk to you all. So you're going to discover what your true colors are, and you're going to be able to interact with your other classmates. So it's not going to be a bunch of people talking to you. You guys will get to interact with each other. So we are going to sign off now, but thank you for coming. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, I will see you in June. Bye, guys.